Hello friends, in this video I am going to show you how to create a repositories and how to push a code into a repositories in Pega. So before that, let me explain what is a repository and what is the purpose of repository. So if you want to push your code from your branch to any repository, that means if you want to place your code into any Amazon bucket repository or JFrog repository, so you can create a repository in Pega system, Pega application. Apart from that, the repository plays a major role in the Pega deployment manager. Okay, because if you want to create an artifacts or if you want to place your product files from into a repository, from that repository only these product files will be deployed into the higher environments. Usually in real time, sometimes based on the companies, I mean based on the clients, they will push the code into the repository. So, okay, from that repository, they can pull the code into the higher environments by using the Pega deployment manager. So that's why today we will talk about the repositories. So how to create a repository? Go to the sysadmin. Go to the sysadmin. Here you can see the repository, and if you want, you can click on create. So you can provide the short description my repository, my repo, and my repo. Please make sure that you have a sufficient privileges to create a repository. Sometimes you may get an error, insufficient privileges to create a repository. Then in that case, please check from your role. That means go to your operator ID, check your access group. So I am opening my access group, because sometimes you may get an error while creating a repository. You don't have a sufficient privileges. Click on the sysadmin access role. Now here we have a class, call it as a data repository. We have a class, call it as a data repository, because these repositories are data instances of data repository class. So check here, there is a data repository. Please make sure that this data repository class should have a right privileges. This data repository class should have a right privileges, because by default sometimes the right instances is 0. You can update it as a 5 so that you can able to create a data repository. So now I have already modified this. Now I'm going to create my repository. Click on create and open. Now here you can choose a repository type. That means where you want to store your code, where you want to store your files, where you want to store your branches, where you want to store your product files, in which location. If you want to store the product files or a branch code, etc., or your rule set versions into the JFrog, which is a third party, or Amazon S3 bucket, which is also a third party. So you have to select the repository type, because again these are commercial. I mean to say you have some free version also, trial version for some time. So you can select a JFrog repository, Amazon S3 repository, Microsoft Azure repository. So you have to log in into these repositories first. I mean to say you have to log in into these applications. You have to sign up and you have to take some plan, either free plan or commercial plan, so that you can configure those credentials into the repository section. For example, if I can take Amazon S3, if I can select Amazon S3, you have to provide the your Amazon S3 client credentials, because whatever the user credentials you have in the Amazon bucket, you have to configure those credentials in the authentication profile. Authentication profile is holding the username and password. What is your bucket name? So by default, when you log in or register into the Amazon S3 bucket, one path will be allocated for you. You have to configure that path so that the files or folders or product files or a branch code will be moved into the repository when you publish it. I'll show you that. Right now, I don't have any plan. I don't have any access to Amazon S3 bucket or JFrog. This is also like a third party, and Microsoft Azure is also a third party. But time being, I am using file system. File system is nothing but our local path. Your wish. File system is nothing but our local path. Now what I am going to do is e colon slash slash my repo. Sorry, if you want you can give it as another path also. Now in my mission I'm giving e colon data. I have a file system path e colon data, or I'm going to create a new folder repositories or my Pega code, etc. You can, your wish, you can give any path. So now I am updating e colon my Pega code, click on save. Very simple, because here you are configuring in the your local file system. You can change it, here to the Amazon S3 bucket or etc JFrog. Okay, now save. Now repository is created. Now if you want you can push your code. So go back to your application. For example, I have a branch. For example, this is my SBI app application. This application is having a one branch. So this is my branch and I have a code in my branch. I have created only one activity in the branch. Now anytime I want I can push my code. So publish to a repository. So you can select what is your repository name, test repository. Click on publish. Now your branch code is published successfully. Now if you want you can check it. Go to my Pega code. Okay, 1 second. Test repository. E colon my Pega code. Okay, here also my repo, right? Okay, I have to give it as a my repo. Publish to repository. What is the repository name? My repo. Click on publish. Now you can go to here, see this one in the e colon Pega code branch, SBI branch and export wizard, the product file will be created. Like this you can publish or you can push or you can place your code or product files etc into the repositories. I hope this video will be helpful for you.